Good afternoon, everybody. Kent Clothier here, REI Nation, the REI podcast this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We're live this afternoon. I'll introduce my guest in just a second, and wanted to remind you of a couple things today about us. If you would like the call, share it with other people. Got a couple of buttons down there, like and love and share. So we invite you to fire away this afternoon on any questions. A little bit about where we are right now. This is March 3rd, so we're into March here. We got by our weather incident that we had last week, and I know we've had some videos up on that, so feel free to go back and visit them as we come out of that. Company is continuing to progress. We hope to announce a few more cities later this year, other than the ones we have right now. We're into Alabama big now, buying a lot of houses, building a lot of houses in Alabama. We're doing really well in San Antonio. And again, it comes back to the Clothier family and the great team of people that we have, our reputation, credibility, and integrity, the most important things to us. I think we're up to 6,400 houses right now, a little over 2,300 investors, about $1.1 billion in single family homes that we're managing for these investors. So again, welcome to the call this afternoon. We're going to get in. I want to introduce you to, first off, Rick Lubert, our wealth advisor that's on the call. Rick is going to be on there and joining us today. And then I wanted to introduce you to Scott Stanfield, who lives down in Georgia. He currently has 8 houses with us, been with us since about 2017. We're going to get in and hear his story. He's got a really, really interesting job. Got a really interesting story about getting involved in real estate. He's referred a lot of people to us that have been successful so far. So let's just jump right in here. Welcome, Rick. Welcome, Scott. Can you guys both hear me? We're all good to go?
Yeah, can hear you well. Thanks for having me.
Very good. So Scott, again, thanks for joining us. Certainly on behalf of our team and family, thank you for the opportunity to serve you and the 8 properties that you've had with us for several years. And so maybe you just take a second and tell us a little bit about yourself, or a couple of minutes, however long you need, about yourself, your job, how we got started, how you got started in real estate. Our listeners are always fascinated about the story.
Well, all righty. I guess I'll start first with just how I got involved in real estate. I bought a couple condos and self-managed a long time ago and decided that wasn't a good fit for me. The properties worked out well. I made some money from them, but it's a lot of work to self-manage. So I did sell those, and then I got involved with fortune builders. I was actually at that time thinking about flipping houses, but contractors are a challenge. But as I went down that path, and I realized that there were other ways to be involved in real estate, not have to, I guess, be so active like with flipping houses or self-managing. And that's how I connected with REI Nation. At that time it was actually Memphis Invest, but REI Nation. And so I bought my first house there on Mission Ridge there in Tennessee. And I just keep buying houses. It's a lot of fun. That's long and short of it. As far as work goes, I finished my PhD in engineering in 2009. I worked with the Air Force Research Labs after school and during school. Worked on all different kinds of projects, and then as that's progressed, I eventually switched over with a different company working in their commercial group, and we supported the development of just different measurement technologies. And we worked with different agencies such as NASA and the Air Force, and we set up experiments for them, built equipment for them, et cetera. And so that's a little bit about my background, and again, why I got into real estate.
Tell us a little about your family and where you live.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I live in Atlanta with my wife and 2 little boys. I've got a 6-year-old and 7-year-old boys, so they're a lot of fun when they're not destroying things. So but even when they are, they're still fun. But so that's where I live at.
So back in 2017, did you own houses other than the condos or what I think you said condos, right? Or,
Right. Yeah, they were 2 luxury condos. They were in downtown Cincinnati.
yeah.
And they had a great view. I just had those 2 properties, and then I owned a house. The house I owned, it was in Cincinnati. I've converted to a rental, and so I do have a management company there that manages that property. It's actually a business partner of mine at this point. We actively look for other type of deals too, but that's really the only houses outside of what I have with Renation. I know there is one in Kansas City, another turnkey provider that I tried. That didn't work out as well. However, it's no reflection of Renation, of course. It's a different company.
Well, thank you. So today, yep. I guess I need you guys to mute. Somebody needs to mute, then when I talk, and then unmute whenever you guys jump on. So you jumped in and bought 4 houses in Memphis, 2 in Little Rock, and 2 in Tulsa. And you've done that in the last 2 or 3 years. And now you're in our WOW group. When you own 5 or more properties, you come into the WOW group. And since then, you've recommended somebody a referral to us that's now in the WOW group also. So we thank you for that. But how are your properties performing for you since the inception?
They've performed well exactly the way the financial statements that you first sent out for the properties that led me to buy them said they would perform. So that is, I received an Excel sheet. The Excel sheet shows all the different financials for the property, including estimated insurance, property tax, and eventually down to the bottom line cash flow. The cash flow numbers for the properties are very close to the financials that were originally provided. There's been some maintenance on a few of them, but nothing that's, I would say, is unexpected. So basically every month there is income.
The property management side of it, how has that been doing for you with our property management team and in the 3 markets that you're in?
Oh, that's an easy question. I don't receive any calls about problems with the houses or anything like that. And that's strictly about management. So management has always been able to put a tenant in the property. They do a good job of collecting rent, et cetera. So on the management side, you guys are very good, and the numbers speak for itself. I remember right, it's 5.5 years is the average length of stay for a tenant. I believe it's 98% of the rents are collected. So you look at those numbers, that really says quite a bit. What people have to remember is there's 6,400 properties that are under management. And so those statistics actually have meaning. Anyway, so yeah, the management has been very good. And of course, the customer service side of it, even better. Always get a call every month letting me know how things are going.
The houses that you have, the 8 right now, how long have the residents been in there right now?
It depends on which house. In general, I would say, Mission Ridge, the first house I bought, we just went through our first tenant turnover. And that tenant actually wasn't planning on leaving, but they had to change employers. And I think that was more of a COVID-related issue. The other houses, I have had a few tenant turnovers, but not very many. And those have all been recent, and that's after these tenants have stayed the course of their leases. So,
the residents that we have in there for you, how many of them have renewed their lease for you?
Quite a few. I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but we've had quite a few renewals. And what's nice is when they renew, it's usually a 2-year lease, which is a very nice thing.
We shoot for that. And again, when you talked a minute ago about the 5.5 years that our residents stay in the house, that's a really important thing. And a lot of that has to do with the renewals. Have you had any extended move out so far?
An extended move out? No, huh? No. Basically, when a tenant vacates the property, the turnover is very quick. Renovations are done quickly, and then a tenant's placed usually within 2 to 3 weeks. And so that's the tenant leaving, that's your crew going in, inspecting the property, determining what all needs to be done, contacting me if needed, and then of course going in, doing the work, and then placing the tenant. It's very quick for a turnover.
When you jumped into this, was it your plan to have 8 houses, or how did this evolve?
Well, actually, my plan is to have a lot more houses, even from the beginning. It was more buy a few, see how it worked, and then scale up. And so I'm slowly trying to scale up, and would obviously like to have more houses. But you have to be smart about how you acquire them. You can't overextend. It's always important to have some reserves and things like that. So but yeah, no, my plan is to continue to grow my portfolio. But I tell people my favorite time of the month is when I receive an email letting me know funds are going to be deposited. It's a good feeling.
So I know Mark was your associate for a long time with us. He was with us for many, many years, sold thousands of houses for us. And we parted ways with him last fall. He had some opportunities, and we all mutually agreed. And he's doing well today, and he's will always be a friend of our company. Did a great job for us. And then Rick jumped in here with you, very experienced, sold hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of houses. And I guess you guys have been talking. Rick, how's it going with Scott so far?
Great. The one thing I also want to, reiterate, obviously we appreciate the referrals. There is no higher compliment that any client could possibly give us by referring friends, colleagues, family members, to do business with us. But, one thing that I'd like to hear from you, Scott, is the why. Why did you start building this portfolio? How do you see this building in the future as far as for you and your family personally? Those are the type of stories I think a lot of investors want to know out there. I mean, some people kind of think, maybe just piece together one or two properties, for a diversification, section of their portfolio. But, what's the why for you?
Well, the why for me is obviously to generate passive income, and eventually retire and have that sort of income available. You mentioned people wanting one or two properties. Well, one or two properties, they're going to perform with your team, but one or two properties isn't a retirement plan. The goal is you have to scale up. The more properties you have, actually, the less risk you carry. And if you have one property and they don't pay rent, or for whatever reason, maybe the tenant isn't there anymore or whatnot, you've lost 100% of your revenue. If you have 10 properties and one person moves out, now you've only lost 1/10 of your revenue. So in some respect, having more property is actually less risk. But my why is very, very straightforward. I like the money that comes in from having rentals. I like the fact that I spend about an hour a month maximum on it. That is, I actually look at the statements, I then reconcile my accounts, and that's my whole involvement. It takes me longer to buy a property than it takes to do anything else. Although, of course, by tax season, which that's also not that hard. But anyways, yeah, my why is pretty straightforward. I like the idea of having the passive income, and I like what passive income can do for later on when I have enough of it, where I can just, retire, have money coming in, and potentially do what I want to do with my time. And
really good answer.
That's very possible. What's that?
It's a really good answer that we got. Let me ask you a question. Thank you, Rick, for that. Let me ask you, Scott, and I always ask our owners because I'm always trying to figure out. I know our team. We have a great team. They do a lot of things unbelievable, but I'm always looking for this, what we can do better. So you've been with us a number of years, and I know we're not perfect. I know we learn every day, but in the day-to-day and the month-to-month of being with us for 3, 4, 5 years, however long it's been, what can we do better? Because we always want to learn about how to get better every single day. and you've been a long time loyal customer to us, and we appreciate everything you've done for us, referring people. But we know we're not perfect. There are things that we can do better. Does anything come to your mind today?
Well, when you look at the whole picture, the reality is you guys already do a very good job, and you mentioned that. Customer service part of it, again, managing the asset, all the back end side of it, helping investors go through each step, all of that is very good. Sometimes the appraisals come in a little lower than the purchase prices, but again, appraisals, there's always going to be some variance there. And of course, sometimes they come in right at the purchase price too. But I would say, if anything, maybe the appraisal part of it is the one part where it kind of is a little trickier and harder to, I guess, figure out. And of course, on the investor side of it, when the appraisal is low and you decide to still commit and buy that property, you will bring a little more funds to the table. But what that does do is it lowers the loan balance. So it's not a complete loss of funds. Your cash flow goes up per month. It's just that, again, you do provide a little more capital. So maybe your cash on cash return on investment goes from maybe 10, 11% down a 1 or 2%, depending on how much extra cash you bring into the table. So it's not a deal breaker by any means, but again, that appraisal process is a bit tricky, but realize too, the appraiser doesn't work for Ria Nation, they work for the bank. And so it's not necessarily in your control. And from my own experiences with having properties appraised for when you want to refinance, cash out, et cetera, they do tend to be all over the mark. And on that same property, you can challenge it, which we've done, and it's come back at a very different appraised value. And that's just variance among appraisers, again, outside of anything I can control as an investor or that you can control. But that's the one thing that is, I guess, not as good. But I don't know how you would improve that part of it, again, because it's a little bit out of your control.
We have no control of that whatsoever. But I will tell you that, and just in this last 6 to 12, maybe 18 months, we have seen a lot of fluctuations in appraisal because the markets, different markets are appreciating. Sometimes the appraisers don't want to get out there, and when a house appraised for 275 2 weeks ago, they don't want to get up there yet. They don't want to be the second one up there. And so it takes a little while, and we work with appraisers, and a lot of times we go back with success and sometimes not with success.
Right.
But the thing about it is that we want to make sure that we bring you value every day.
Mm-hmm.
We bring value with Rick. We bring you value with a company that's been in business for a long time and doing this, what we do every single day. I'm going to get to the customer service in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a big deal with me that I want to talk to you about. But we just on the appraisals, we run into this probably several times a month where we ask the loan company to go back and at least get another appraisal. And sometimes it comes back the same. Sometimes it comes back worse. Sometimes it comes back better. So it's all over the board, exactly like you said. And it's just something that we work through, and whatever we got to do to help that investor. Sometimes they have to bring more money, and we just figure it out. So this year we're going to do probably, we're talking to our team this morning, looks like a little over 900 houses. We bought 144 houses in February. So we have more renovations going on now, almost 200 renovations going on in all of our cities today. So we have a lot of product in the pipeline that's coming. We have a lot of investors that express interest in wanting more properties with us, our existing customers plus new customers. So we have that luxury of just trying to get the houses done and get them ready for our investors, and hopefully bring them really good value and a long-term investment that can pay big dividends down the road. But let me ask you about the customer service department, because it's something that I think we do a little bit different maybe than anybody else in this space. We have today, I think, Ryan, how many people, how many customer service? 7, 8 people. We're hiring and training another. So we have 7 or 8 ladies in our customer service department that handle our 2,400 investors. and try to bring that service to them daily, weekly, monthly, whatever they desire. Whenever we have a new investor, we call them once a week for the first 4 weeks. And then a current investor once a month. We have investors that have been with us 10 and 15 years, still get the call every month. Our customer service ladies have built great relationships with our customers that they deliver the news to them. Sometimes it's good news, sometimes it's bad news. Nobody wants that maintenance call that comes, but sometimes they love getting that. We rented your house higher than what we thought. We got you a 2-year renewal. And so those are the good calls, and the maintenance and the move out. Those happen. Those are part of the game here. So, but our customer service lady, and you have a really good one in Carrie. And I try to get her on the call today, but she's so shy. She didn't want to get on here.
I can't believe that. I've talked to her quite a bit.
I know. She's not shy. I'm just kidding. I have a cutout of her down there, and I was going to bring it up here, but I said, we'll get her next time. But she does a great job. Hopefully she's calling you and talking to you. And I know she was influential in getting you on the call today with us, which we really thank her for. And, but anyway, that customer service department is, I think, what separates us from everybody else, because most companies don't have anybody that are going to call you. And when you do try to call, you're going to get a call back in 2 or 3 days later. And that's not a model that we want to be part of. And that's why I think that we get so many referrals, because when people, do you really call them every month and every week for the first 4 weeks? Nobody really does that. Y'all really do that. You really do that. All right. And
Yes.
It's such an important part of the business to me, because I come out of retail way back in the 80s. And I just think it's so important to do the type of service that we do, that people will talk about, brag about, and say, wow, this is, nobody else does that today. And they don't. And anyway, so that's real important. And I know hopefully Carrie's doing a great job for you and taking care of you and continue to
Oh,
communicate.
yeah.
So
She is.
let me ask about, one of our current clients has a question. He's a wild client, and he wants to know, Scott, out of curiosity, for your Tulsa properties, what insurance provider are you using in Tulsa?
It's a good question. I have a good feeling I know why he's asking, because of the tornadoes and stuff there. I use the insurance that you guys actually send out as part of a quote. It's not your insurance, but it's a company that you guys have worked with that you're able to get quotes for us. And I know that in Tulsa there is some current concerns with the tornadoes, and I didn't think about that when I bought the Tulsa properties. I still would have bought them, but that's who I'm using for Tulsa.
And most of our owners are using our. I think we have about 80% coverage with all of our properties. And again, what it enables us, or we can take the properties and bulk them to an different insurance companies, and get better pricing. And from time to time, one of our owners will find better pricing and elect to pay a lesser deductible and a higher premium, or vice versa. But it's worked out pretty good. We got some challenges in Oklahoma and Oklahoma City and Tulsa, but we're up to, I think, right at 300 or 400 properties in those two markets right there, and growing every week. So it's a really good market. It's a good value. It's good property for owners. A little bit of risk, like anywhere. Down in Houston, we got a little bit of risk with hurricanes. We went through that several years ago, came out of that. Boy, we just came through one down in Texas with this ice storm. And I think we ended up having about 200 incidents out of 2,600 properties in there. So our owners came through pretty good there. We do have some situations down there right now that we're working through on maintenance to get I think we have all the pipes fixed. Now we got to come back and do some cosmetic work. So we had some, but it kind of comes with the territory. Whether you're in the stock market or whatever you're in, you're going to have ups and downs. And we had a little blooper last week down there in Texas, but we handled it. Our team did a great job. Our crisis management team jumped in and handled it, and got all of our residents taken care of, because that was the most important thing. It's one of those times when we don't call the owners. We said, we got to go. We got to take care of the residents. We got freezing temperatures. They have no heat. They got busted pipes. Get everybody on the street. Here we go. We got to go take care of those residents. And in the end, our investors will win, because the residents we will serve them in such a way that they will stay with us. They will renew, and because we jumped in and did the right thing, and hope none of them had to wait very long to get people on the street, even though our vendors risked getting out there last week in this terrible weather that we had down there in Texas. But
I wouldn't say you kept us in the dark either. We did receive notification through email, just letting us know that you guys were on it and working with it. So even when you were busy like that, there was still communication.
well, what I didn't want to do, Scott, and we had several meetings last week every night. Our crisis team met on a Zoom call, about 10 people every night, about 8 o'clock. And what I didn't want to do is call you and tell you that you had $1,000 damage, and then 3 days later it'd be $5,000. I didn't want to bring false information to our investors. So we talked about this every day last week, and we talked about calling the investors on Friday, Saturday. I said, no, I want to wait till Monday or Tuesday till we know for sure, because I don't want to have to go back and tell somebody it was $1,500. Then by the time somebody else gets in there, it ended up being $3,000, and we look like idiots. Don't want to do that. Right. So I think our owners trusted us enough to that we're on it. We're taking care of it. We're taking care of the resident. There's going to be some bills. There's going to be some damage, and but I know all of our maintenance people and our customer service ladies are passing that along today as we're about to the end of that crisis on getting all of our residents taken care of, getting the walls put back together and all the cosmetic stuff in the houses. The main thing that we wanted to do was get the heat back on, which we had about 65 heat issues and about, I think, a little over 200 plumbing issues. And we just want to get those pipes sealed first, and we come back and we assess whatever damage there was to carpets and whatever walls that we had to put back together. And then, so we're on it, we've got it. And we thank our owners for being patient with us. But I didn't want to go out there last Wednesday or Thursday and start saying stuff that we thought was happening, but we didn't really understand it completely until we got to about Sunday night. So, but good observation.
We still received a message and it was still timely, so it worked out well.
And I wanted Nate to put that out, that we let our owners know that we're working on it. We've got it. Our crisis management team is on this, and this is what we do. This is when I think our team really shines. And again, we were only interested in one thing last week: getting those residents and their family and those kids back with heat, get the plumbing fixed, and do whatever we had to do to take care of those, which will be a big benefit for our owners in the end. So the residents will not
be retain tenants. So
let me say,
absolutely.
Rick, go ahead.
The damage is, the repairs are going to be necessary regardless. So the quicker we get those handled for the residents, the happier they're going to be, and they're going to stay at the properties, for long periods of time. They love management companies that are going to address their needs as quick as possible. Happy residents stay for longer periods of time. So ultimately, it just, benefits the owners of those properties. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Scott, let me, got another question here for you. One of our listeners, do you use an LLC to hold your properties?
I do, actually. I have an LLC that's in Nevada. That's actually a holding company. And then the properties themselves are all titled to a trust that the LLC then holds. It's maybe a little more expensive on the overhead end to set up that way, but it's how I'm currently structured.
Very good. I think that'll be great for our listeners to hear that. Well, Scott, anything else that you'd like to share with us today? We've held you up for about 30 minutes. I just wanted to see if you had anything else that you wanted to share with us today.
Actually, I go back real quick to when you mentioned customer service. I wanted to say that this is my third turnkey company. I started with you guys, and then I tried a company and it didn't work out for me, so I switched that property to another company. And you are the only company that does contact me every month. Now, the other ones, sure, I receive statements each month, and that gives me an idea of what's going on, but a phone call is nice. It really does let you know how everything's going, and it gives you an opportunity to ask questions. So just wanted to put that out there.
Well, thank you. I'm a little old school. I know a lot of them want to text and a lot of them want to email, but I want to be talking to you. I want to be talking to you, telling you that we have this under control. We're taking care of your properties. You put your head down on the pillow at night and know we got it 24/7. And we've got this model. I'm not going to say it's perfected, but we got it going pretty good.
It's pretty good. So you have very good business systems, and it shows, and the numbers speak for that.
Well, thank you. We've worked on processes and systems and organization and details, and that's one of the things. I have a sign in my office right here that says "Learn the necessity of details." So we really drill down on doing those types of things, because without systems and processes, we can't do 6,500 properties. This year we'll go over 7,000. We'll be over 8,000 this sometime next year, on our way to 10,000 properties. We just opened up business development side of our business, where we're now managing properties for people that maybe didn't buy the properties for those. We've added almost 100. Right, as of today, it's 82 properties that we've added in the first 30 or 60 days since doing that. That investors like yourself that have properties in cities where we are, they're bringing them into us to manage, and that makes me really happy, because then I know we're really doing a good job and people want to bring us properties. And the business is not hard. You just treat people the way you want to be treated. You do the right things. You have good processes and systems, great people that we have on our team that really care about our investors and about our residents and about our vendors and certainly our employees. And we just try to do the right thing, run the business the right way. And when you do that, good things will happen. And we're fortunate to have you as a client. Again, we thank you very much for referring people to us. That's the highest thing that could happen to us. And because we just want to perform for those people that you bring to us. And again, we thank you for that. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, that's about it. Like I said, everything's gone really smooth for me, so I can't complain about anything.
Congratulations on your 8 properties, continued success. Hopefully we can convert it to business and expand your portfolio. Rick is ready to help you any way we can. And again, it's a pleasure meeting you. I invite you and your family to Memphis at any time to see our office and meet our great team here. And it's been a pleasure having you on today. And on behalf of the Clothier family, we thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, Scott.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.